Another topic that has to do with bringing people along is not just sharing information with them, but a decision has to get made, right? So you're not just bringing them along so that they can, okay, thanks. It's because you need their input, you need their actual decision on something, and that all those things, situation, insight, implication, vision, strategy, sharing all those clearly will lubricate and accelerate a decision-making process. But I'll just share with you 4 contributing factors to poor decision-making. People are unclear about what decisions are actually being made or if a decision is being made, so this happens very often time. Have you ever been in a meeting and the end of it is like, did we make a decision?
Or 5 minutes after, someone's like, so what are we doing about that?
Right. Someone's like, or 2 weeks later, do you have that done? Do you have what done? We made a decision. We did. We did. So unclear timing around decisions. Yeah, we need to get that made. Is it this week? Is it the next 3 weeks? Unclear decision rights. Have people used decision rights before? Do you know decision rights? Decision rights. Unclear decision-making process, even if the rights are. I'll walk through right. So decision rights are if a big decision is being made. It's helpful to clarify what rights do you and others have in that decision. Some individual or group of people have the right to make the decision, right? You have the right to make the decision. It's your decision. There may be a body above you that has the right to approve the decision. Then someone else has the right to provide input, and someone else has the rights merely to be notified of the decision. Clarifying who has what rights in a decision is really critical in a complex decision.
What's the difference between making and approving? Because I would imagine making a decision is approving a decision as well. Like
yeah, you know, in smaller decisions, it's the same. If you talk about large global companies, there may be a body that's charged with collecting all the data, going through everything, and actually saying, in a field of options, we have made this decision. And usually the approving body is only going to kill that decision if they know some larger piece of data is being made. They weren't in charge of making it, they're just in charge of vetoing it. One of the biggest places I find this falls down is in input. Some people have input rights, but they're not consulted. So then the decision is made, and they weren't consulted, and now as a result, they feel like they can't get behind it. Right? So input rights are one of the rights that I find in organizations are stepped on. One of the things that I talk about is decision making is a process, and it's a process of, are we getting divergent thinking, enough thinking out on the table, and then once we do, are we turning the corner and turning to convergent thinking to make a decision? And people get into trouble in decisions when they shortchange one of those 2 processes. You shortchange divergent thinking, which is, do we frame the decision? I.e., what decision are we actually making, and why are we making it? What are the objectives? And then have we taken the time to gain a deeper understanding of the issues around that? And then are we pushing and expanding our thinking so we truly feel we've got a lot of options on the table? If you shortchange that and you try to move to making the decision quickly, people feel as though they didn't explore enough options, and they can't get motivated to get behind it because it just feels like a decision was forced or made. Other groups get into the opposite problem. That's the analysis paralysis, right? They keep getting data, they keep diverging, they can't turn that corner to convergence. So balancing the 2 is critically important to good decision making. When you think about it in terms of stakeholder engagement, when and how do I bring stakeholders in? How do I bring them along? How do I use them to move the decision process forward? Decision making drives the culture of an organization. The efficacy of the decision making drives the culture of an organization. So if you have, let's take the left one, vicious cycle. A difficult decision arises. The team in charge of that or connected to that doesn't engage in a productive decision-making process to address it, right? Some people have input, some don't. They don't talk about things. They don't have tough conversations. So the decision stalls and gets pushed off for a while. But then at some point, the decision has to get made. And there's not been a good enough dialogue about it. So some leader stands up and just has to make a unilateral decision. Well, we're going in this direction. Out of necessity, once that's made, there's the decision's made out of poor alignment, then that means the critical conversations got swept under the rug. Now resentment starts to grow, and then it just kind of goes away. It doesn't go away, but it goes on hideout. And then another decision comes up, and you're trying to make that second decision based on the resentment and frustration that already exists from the first decision. And so everyone's already cynical that it's not going to go well. So people half-heartedly put an effort in, and guess what? That one doesn't go well either. And then you know what? It's 5 years later, and you've got big problems. And the opposite is if we can handle those conversations, team engages in productive decision-making processes through some of the tools we talked about today, others. Decision gets clearly framed, discussed and made, actions thoughtfully planned, communicated in advance. The team has strong alignments, they get behind it together. Everyone feels as though things are on the table, no one's hiding anything. A sense of progress and momentum grows. And then when the next difficult decision arises, people have a sense of confidence that we can handle this. And they engage more actively in it. And that tends to strengthen morale and increases confidence in leadership. So some of the problems we're hearing about today are not, oh, this problem came up. And it's a problem. It's sitting on top of a culture where things have gone on for a long time. And these topics that we're talking about today are the most difficult topics that leaders have to deal with. And this is culture, right? That is culture. That's an organization's culture. How decisions get made, how people are held accountable, how people communicate. That is the essence of culture. And I heard this great quote from Lou Gerstner, former IBM CEO, a while ago. He wrote, I think, How Elephants Can Dance, I think was his book. I came to see in my time at IBM that culture wasn't one part of the game, it was the game. And I always love that quote because you see this person comes out of McKinsey, he's clearly a strategist. He thinks the game is smart strategy. And then he gets into IBM, he sees all the craziness going on, all the tons of fragmented product lines and whatnot, incapable of really generating good profits. And he says, culture's the key. Culture is the key. Getting people to get aligned, get focused, and execute, and push decisions down to the lowest level, that's the key to success. So I've always thought that was really a great way to think about organizational culture.
Do you find yourself teaching this concept to the executives that you work with?
Yeah, all these. I mean, sometimes,
But I mean what you just said about culture is one thing and it's the only thing if you want to succeed.
Yes. I mean, it lands differently with different groups. It lands however it lands with the listening that's in that room. But yeah, it's one of those things you come back to over and over and over and over again. So I did a workshop with a big company. It was 35 partners, a big consulting firm. And the three things they took away that they needed to work on were decision-making, execution, and communication. They called it DEC. Decision-making, execution, and communication. Because they realized they were terrible at it. And it's been a year and a half, I'm still working with them, and it's hard stuff to change, right? I mean, it doesn't, you gotta pick your spots, you gotta go in, and you gotta try to change that one thing, and then hope that that has some bleed over effect, because all these people have day jobs, right? They're all trying to run their businesses. And that's the challenge with culture, and that's why oftentimes the CEO really needs to be, because the CEO and some of the executive team tend to be some of the only people who don't have so much that day job from a getting the product out perspective. And so they need to be thinking about culture, vision, strategy. I think those are the three biggest things that the CEO needs to be focused on.